Good evening, everyone. I'm Leah Cooper with your JCN News for this Thursday, September 3rd. Topping news tonight, the accused murderers of 17-year-old LeVar McKenzie faced a magistrate this afternoon. Our reporter Laurencia Smith has the story.
A 17-year-old juvenile seen with a plaid shirt over his head, along with 20-year-old Franklin Clinton seen in a white t-shirt, stood before Chief Magistrate Joanne Ferguson Pratt on one count of murder each. According to a police report, around 4 p.m. on the 30th of August, police were called in the area of East Avenue off Carmichael Road, where they discovered a badly decomposed body of a male. Now it was revealed that it was the body of 17-year-old LeVar McKenzie, whom police issued a missing person bulletin for on the 24th of August. The pair was not allowed to enter a plea. The Crown will serve them with a voluntary bill of indictment on the 15th of December. In the meantime, the Chief Magistrate remanded the juvenile to the Simpson Penn Center for Boys and Glinton to the Bahamas Department of Correction Services. For JCN News, I'm Laurencia Smith.
There's no doubt the pandemic has had a significant impact on the local and global economy. In fact, the Inter-American Development Bank underscores a hefty percentage of loss, not only for the country, but across the Caribbean. With the details, we go to our Lissy Bastian.
72.5% of the households in the country reported an income loss in April 2020. This coming from Inter-American Development Bank's Caribbean Crisis COVID-19 Socioeconomic Online Survey. The report notes that the percentage of households reporting income below the minimum wage increased from 16.1% in January 2020 to a whopping 47.6% in April, adding that three main factors contributed to this shock, and that's business closures, employment loss, and loss of rental income. The survey, in which 910 residents across the country participated, found that 50.8% of households reported that they closed their businesses either due to the authorities' requirement or due to lack of demand. It also notes that 50.2% of households declared at least one job loss, and 75.1% of them indicated that they had a commitment from their employer to be rehired after the crisis. Lastly, 18.4% of households declared they stopped receiving payments for renting real estate or vehicles. Loss of employment was also impacted at 80.6% of low-income households, the report noted. Now, the crisis affected all sources of income and all income levels, but not in the same magnitude. Households that reported earnings below the minimum wage in January 2020 were more severely impacted, particularly from employment loss, which was 80.6%, compared to middle and high income households, which was 50.2% and 35.1% respectively. Working remotely was more prevalent amongst high income households at 54.2% compared to low and middle income counterparts, which was about 35%. The employment shock was also unequal across genders, as 58.5% of women declared losing their jobs compared to 39.1% of men. On that note, the pandemic has negatively impacted Bahamians' quality of life, particularly that of women. That said, the survey found that during the pandemic, 68.4% of women reported being responsible for caring for adults aged 60 years and older. Women also reportedly bore a significantly higher burden of domestic chores since the restrictions were implemented in mid-March. In addition to this, 11.3% indicated an increase in domestic violence within their household since the beginning of the pandemic, with a higher prevalence in high-income households at 13.9% compared to low and middle-income households at 10.3% and 10.1% respectively. In April 2020, 49.1% of households also reported eating less healthy meals than usual, and 5.5% went to bed hungry. The report included details from similar surveys done in all 6 countries in the IDB Caribbean Department, including the Bahamas, Barbados, Guyana, Jamaica, Suriname, and Trinidad and Tobago. It comes as these countries, many tourism dependent, noted a halt in arrivals, a fall in international oil prices, and a widespread rollout of curfews and lockdowns, which have had a severe economic impact on the region. For JCN News, I'm Lissy Bastian.
As of today, September 3rd, COVID-19 cases in the country up to 2,337 following the Ministry of Health's confirmation of 61 new cases of the virus. 49 of those are here in the capital, 3 on Grand Bahama, 1 on Exuma, Bimini, Andros, and Abaco, with the location of 5 pending. Those numbers now push the island's impacted totals to 1,476 on New Providence, 557 on Grand Bahama, 71 on Abaco, 54 total on Bimini, 20 on Exuma, 15 on the Berry Islands, 11 on Inagua, 8 on Cat Island, 7 on both Eleuthera and Acklands, and 3 on Long Island, 2 each on Andros, Crooked Island, and Mayaguana. Health officials still determining the location of 102 confirmed cases. An additional COVID-19 death pushes the death toll to 47. The Ministry of Health, in its update, confirmed the death of a 58-year-old woman of New Providence who died on August 26. Meantime, 14 deaths are under investigation. There are 1,420 active cases. Of that number, 67 are hospitalized. 11,871 tests have been completed. It's a sad day for a family of a little boy over on the island of Bimini. Police there investigating a drowning incident of the toddler, which occurred shortly after 9 Tuesday night. Reports indicate that the 3-year-old was found at the bottom of a pool on the property of the Resorts World Bimini. The child was rushed to the Bimini Clinic and later airlifted to New Providence for further medical attention. Shortly after 7 yesterday morning, the 3-year-old succumbed to his injuries at the Princess Margaret Hospital. Police are actively investigating this case. A stabbing in the early hours this morning has left 2 males fighting for their lives in hospital. This incident happening in Murphytown, Abaco. Police say they were called to the Marsh Harbor Clinic shortly after 1 a.m., where it was reported that 2 males were brought in for medical attention after they were involved in an altercation while in Murphytown. Both males received multiple stab wounds and were airlifted via air ambulance into New Providence for further medical attention. Police are investigating. You're watching JCN News. Stay with us.
This segment of the news was brought to you by Alive.